Jim Carrey is a famous actor and comedian. He is from Canada. He was born on January 17th, 1962. Jim is known for his funny movies and big facial expressions. He makes people laugh. Some of his most famous movies are The Mask, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and Bruce Almighty. He has won many awards, but before he became famous, his life was very hard. Jim Carrey was born in a city called Newmarket in Canada. He was the youngest child in his family. He had one brother and two sisters. His mother's name was Kathleen, and his father's name was Percy. They loved Jim very much. Jim was a funny child. He liked to make faces. He made his family laugh. He made funny voices. He was always joking. People said, "Jim, you are so silly." But he liked that. He liked to make others happy. His father, Percy, played music. He played the saxophone. He also worked as an accountant. That means he worked with numbers and money. But one day, Percy lost his job. That was very bad for the Carey family. After Percy lost his job, the family had no money. They were very poor. They could not pay for their house. So they had to leave their home. For a while, they lived in a van. A van is like a big car. It was very cold in Canada. Jim and his family slept in the van at night. During the day, Jim went to school, but he was very tired and sad. Jim wanted to help, so he got a job. He worked in a factory. He cleaned floors and washed toilets. He was only 15 years old. He worked hard to help his family. Sometimes he cried. He was just a boy. But life was very hard. He said to himself, "One day I will be a star. One day life will be better." He never stopped dreaming. Jim had a hard time at school. He was funny, but some teachers did not like that. They told him to stop joking. They did not understand him. Some children laughed at him. Jim felt sad. He felt different. But Jim loved to make people laugh. He wanted to act. He wanted to do comedy. He thought, if I can make people smile, maybe I can be happy too. At home, Jim watched TV. He watched funny shows. He watched people like Jerry Lewis and Steve Martin. He wanted to be like them. He practiced in front of a mirror. He made funny faces. He copied voices. He worked very hard, even when no one was watching. When Jim was 15 years old, he had to leave school. His family needed money, so he worked full-time as a cleaner in a factory. It was not a fun job. It was hard and boring. But Jim always had a dream in his heart, to be a comedian. At night, after work, Jim wrote jokes. He watched comedians on TV. He studied how they moved, how they spoke, and how they made people laugh. He wanted to learn everything about comedy. One day, Jim said to his father, "Dad, I want to try doing stand-up comedy." Stand-up comedy is when a person stands on stage and tells jokes to an audience. His father smiled and said, "Go for it." Jim's father believed in him. He helped Jim write jokes. He even drove him to comedy clubs. They were a team. Jim never forgot this. Jim's first time on stage was at a comedy club in Toronto. He was very nervous. His heart beat fast. His hands were cold. He looked at the microphone. The lights were bright. Then it was his turn. Jim walked on the stage. People were watching. He opened his mouth and said his first joke. But something bad happened. Nobody laughed. Jim was sad. He felt like a failure. He ran off the stage. He thought, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this dream is too big. But his father said, don't give up. You just need more practice. So Jim tried again, and again, and again. He worked harder. He made new jokes. He learned how to speak with the audience. He learned how to be himself. Little by little, Jim started to get better. People started to laugh. They clapped their hands. They smiled when he talked. Jim was happy. He felt alive on stage. He loved the feeling of making people laugh. It gave him energy. He went to more clubs. He told better jokes. He used his face, his body, and his voice to be funny. People said, "This young man is very special." Jim's dream was growing, but he wanted more. He wanted to go to the United States. He wanted to work in Hollywood where movies are made. He said to himself, "If I work hard, maybe I can make it." He never gave up. Jim wanted to be more than just a funny man at small clubs. He had a big dream to be in movies. He wanted to be a movie star. So Jim made a big decision. He moved to Los Angeles, a big city in the United States. Los Angeles is where many actors live. It is where many movies and TV shows are made. It is the home of Hollywood. But life in Los Angeles was not easy. Jim did not have much money. Sometimes he slept in his car. Sometimes he was hungry. He was poor, but he still had hope. Jim worked in small comedy clubs. He told jokes at night. He met other comedians. He'd learn from them. He also tried to get jobs on TV and in movies. He went to many auditions. An audition is like a test for actors, but most of the time people said no. Jim felt sad, but he didn't stop. He told himself, "One day someone will say yes." In 1985, Jim did something special. He wrote a fake check to himself. The check was for $10 million. On the check, he wrote, "For acting services." He put a date on the check, 10 years in the future. He carried the check in his wallet every day. He looked at it often. It was a symbol of his dream. He said, "I believe this will happen. I just don't know when." That check gave him power. It reminded him to keep going even when life was hard. Jim started to appear on TV. He was on a show called In Living Color. It was a funny show with short comedy scenes. Jim acted in many silly and crazy roles. People liked him. He made big, funny faces. He jumped around. He used his whole body to act. Audiences laughed a lot. They said, "Who is this guy?" Jim was different. He was wild. He was full of energy. After that show, Hollywood noticed him. Movie people said, "Let's give him a chance." Jim was ready. He waited many years for this moment. In 1994, something amazing happened. Jim Carrey got his first big movie role. The movie was called Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Jim played a strange and funny man who finds lost animals. At first, some people thought the movie was too silly, but then something surprising happened. People loved it. They laughed a lot. They watched the movie again and again. Ace Ventura became a big hit. Jim Carrey became a star overnight. Everyone wanted to know him. His dream was coming true. That same year, Jim made two more movies, The Mask and Dumb and Dumber. Both movies were very funny. People around the world watched them. The Mask showed Jim's crazy facial expressions and wild moves. He wore a green mask and acted like a cartoon character. Children and adults loved it. In Dumb and Dumber, Jim played a very silly man with a best friend. They went on a strange road trip. The movie was funny, but also showed that Jim could act with heart. Now, Jim was not just funny, he was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And remember the check he wrote to himself for $10 million? He got paid that much for one of his next movies, just like he dreamed. Jim Carrey was famous for comedy, but he wanted to try something new. He wanted to act in serious movies, too. In 1998, he made a movie called The Truman Show. It was not a silly movie, it was deep and emotional. Jim played a man who learns his whole life is actually a TV show. People around the world watched it and cried. Jim showed he could make people laugh and also make them think. He also made movies like Man on the Moon and The Majestic. These movies were not full of jokes. They were serious and artistic. Many people were surprised. They said, Wow, Jim is more than just a funny face. He is a real actor. Jim was proud. He proved he could do more. Jim Carrey made the world laugh, but behind his big smile, he sometimes felt very sad. Life was not always happy for him. Jim talked openly about his feelings. He said, I have depression. Depression is a sickness in the mind. It makes people feel very sad for a long time. Even when good things happen, they may still feel unhappy inside. People were surprised. They thought Jim was always full of joy. But Jim said, even funny people can feel sad. He wanted others to know it's okay to feel bad sometimes. You are not alone. Jim started to talk more about mental health. He told people to take care of their minds, not just their bodies. He said, if you are hurting inside, talk to someone. Ask for help. This made people respect him even more. Jim also had hard times in his personal life. He had girlfriends and he was married once, but the relationships did not last. He felt lonely. Later, someone close to him died. This made him very sad. He took time away from acting. He needed to heal. Jim used art to help his heart. He started painting and drawing. His pictures were full of colors and feelings. Art helped him express his emotions. He also started writing. He wrote a book for children. Then he wrote another book for adults about life and dreams. Jim showed the world that he is more than just a movie star. He is also an artist and a deep thinker. As Jim grew older, he gave more of his time to others. He gave money to help people in need. He supported schools, charities, and people who were sick. He cared about the world. Jim also gave advice to young actors. He said, follow your heart. Don't just try to be rich or famous. Try to be true to yourself. People loved hearing him speak. He was honest. He was wise. He had lived through hard times and he wanted to help others grow stronger too. Jim Carrey is not in many movies now. He chose to step away from Hollywood. He said he was tired and wanted a quieter life. He now lives in a peaceful place, far from the noise of big cities. He paints pictures. He writes books. He spends time in nature. He still smiles, but he doesn't need the spotlight anymore. Jim said, I have done enough. I have made people laugh. Now I want to enjoy my life in a different way. He sometimes returns for a movie or a talk, but only if it feels right. He is not chasing fame. He is following peace. What we can learn from Jim Carrey's story teaches us many things. He was poor, but he didn't give up. He was sad sometimes, but he kept going. He had a dream, and he worked hard every day to reach it. Jim believed in himself, even when others did not. He made people laugh, but he also made them feel. He showed that you can be strong even if life is hard. He said, it's not about being famous. It's about being yourself. Today, millions of people remember Jim Carrey's movies. They remember his funny face, his crazy voice, and his big heart. Children still watch The Mask and laugh. Adults still watch The Truman Show and think deeply. His work has touched many lives. But more than that, people remember his spirit. Kind, hopeful, and full of love. Jim Carrey is a star, not just in movies, but in life. He reminds us that even when times are hard, we can dream, smile, and keep going.